Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to my world. I am Alexandria Ashcroft, a romance fiction author, and I'm coming to you today to talk about my 2019 goals. So, specifically, I'm going to focus on writing goals because I am an author and things related to writing. If you're interested in hearing about some of my personal goals or other goals that I have, let me know in the comments below. So before I jump into my 2019 goals, I wanted to talk about 2018 and reflect a little bit on 2018. And the reason why I decided to do this is because I'm pretty hard on myself. Like, I set goals and they're pretty aggressive and can be in many ways unrealistic. So I wanted to take a moment to look at the things that I did accomplish in 2018 because I was actually really disappointed in myself at 2018 because I was dwelling on all the things that I didn't get done, I didn't get to. And a lot of that was just me overestimating how long it would take to do some things and then just being overzealous about stuff instead of being more realistic about time and time management and the time allocated to me. At the end of the day, this reflective moment was really good, maybe a message to other people out there who are pretty rough on themselves. I think sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit for when we do accomplish things. So that's what this was all about, this moment of reflection. And it also helps you to set your goals by looking back to what you've done before and how you can move forward from that. So I'm going to focus on my highlights of last year. There were definitely some things that didn't go well, but I wanted to keep this positive and talk about the things that I did accomplish and didn't get done last year. So I'm just going to kind of read off my list. I did have to make a list because I meander. So 2018 did start off a little rough for me in my personal life, but from that, it gave me the boost and encouragement and the time to then focus on my writing and focus on my business, my writing as a business. So the first thing I kind of did going towards my writing as a business was I started my publishing company. So all of my stories are published by Black Quill LLC, Black Quill Publishing LLC. And that is my company. And I'll talk about it later more in detail. I just kind of want to list all this stuff. All this stuff is a few things. I published my first book last year. And when I say published, I mean like professionally published. I do have works available on like my website and on Wattpad. But I published my first book, which is Teasing the Palette, last year. So that was really exciting. I published a total of 3 books last year. So I published Teasing the Palette, A New and Old Paris, and SINNFUL. So I published 3 books. SINNFUL I slid in just at the last minute, but it still counts. It's still 2018. I wrote 6 new stories on Wattpad. So Wattpad is like a writing community website. And I post stories on there to get feedback, to see kind of what people are interested in and the different stories and characters that they like. That's kind of how SINNFUL came about, and I'll talk about that in a later video, kind of how SINNFUL came about if you're not familiar. But I wrote several stories. I think I have like 20 projects or something like that on Wattpad. Does it feel weird? Oh my God. I hate bugs. Anyway, I ghost wrote. So I'm a ghost writer. I've ghost written not a lot of stuff, but I did 6 stories last year for my ghost writing. So I was a writing beast last year. That's kind of what I got from this whole deal here. 3 of those were short stories and 3 of those were novella length stories. I completely revamped my website. So I got a completely different service provider for my website and completely did it new very quickly because we'll talk about that later. And I wrote the first draft for the 2 stories that I'm going to publish this year. So I feel like I set myself up really well by doing that. So, I mean, there's still work to do. There's still editing and stuff to do on those stories, but I feel like I put myself in a good place having the initial draft and concept down for those stories. And I'm excited about them. The titles are still in flux, but the first one is like a cowboy interracial romance. And the second one is called No Justice for Jackie, about a virgin who is on a mission. What could her mission be? We're going to have to find out. So excited. I created custom content for SINNFUL. And yeah, those are kind of my writing highlights from 2018. So after kind of like reflecting and thinking back, like, you know, starting a business, publishing your first book, like those are kind of big milestones. And I'm really happy about the things that I did accomplish. So like my kind of second movement or thing that I wanted to touch on was grateful, humble, and proud. And talking about things that I'm grateful for, that humbled me, and this is for last year, and things that I'm proud of. So I kind of talked about things that I'm proud of, my accomplishments for 2018. I'm definitely grateful for my readers and all the support that I've had on my writing journey. I started taking writing seriously. That's such a weird thing. I've been writing for years, and like most of my life, I've been writing and storytelling. So 2 years ago when I got on Wattpad was when I really started like taking writing seriously and writing regularly, consistently uploading, consistently producing new content, and actually completing and finishing my stories. And that was like a huge turning point for me as an author. Maybe we'll talk about that later. But anyway, I'm grateful for my support, my readers. I'm humbled by the process of creating stories and editing process. And okay, this is a rant. I'm not going to talk about it now, but editing, that's going to be I'll rant about that later. So yeah, just being humbled by the process of becoming a published author and monetizing your craft. And then of course, proud of starting a business, publishing my first work, doing all that stuff. So 2018, if I had to like dub it or give it a title for me personally, I think it was like the year of do it, like start it. It might not work out exactly how you think, but it was like, just start it, because you're going to fumble, you're going to bumble. And the longer it takes you to start, the longer it's going to take you to actually get to your end, because you're too busy trying to perfect things that you can't really perfect until you just get in there. That's what I learned in 2018. So 2018 was my get it started year. So moving on into 2019, my 2019 goals. And I'm probably not planning on going into detail per se on any of these things, because I don't want this to get really long, the video or audio to get really long. So we're just going to go right up in here, get up in this. So 2019, my overall vision for 2019 is persistence and consistency. And this bug is being persistent and annoying. Persistence and consistency. So 2018 was about starting stuff. 2019 is about persistently being consistent. So uploading regularly. I feel like I've been doing pretty good on Instagram, but like regularly engaging, whether that's this bug. Oh, it finally got. Sorry, this is a hot mess. Yeah, persistently being consistent. So I've been pretty good at Instagram, so keeping that up, and then uploading to YouTube. We're just gonna, yeah, that's being persistent, consistent. So the first thing that I wanted to kind of clarify is how I look at goals. So there are differences in my mind between goals and dreams. And I feel like a lot of the times we dream and call them goals when they're not really goals. So some of the things that I list might be more dream-like because they're not structured like goals are. Goals are structured. They're specific, they have a measured outcome, and they're set in a time frame. Like you give them a time limit. Some of these are still in the dream phase, but I'm planning to eventually get them to the point where they're structured like a goal so that they can be accomplished. So one of my first goals is posting once a week on YouTube. My push goal, because like I said about 2018, I really push myself often past my limit and strive to overachieve. And sometimes I don't meet my mark and I get really disappointed in myself. But you don't know your limit unless you push your limit. So I guess I would challenge you. If you are always reaching your goals, you're probably not setting them high enough and you're not challenging yourself. Failure to me is not bad. Failure to me is not a negative thing. It's a learning thing. Like I said, you don't know how far you can go if you don't push how far you can go. So if you're working out in the gym or whatever, you don't know how much your muscles can lift until you fail and you're like, okay, well, I can't lift 250, but I can lift 240 or whatever. So the same thing kind of goes for other goals. So my push goal for YouTube is 2 per week. I want to produce more audio content. I know that's more dreamlike. It doesn't quite have all the structure of a goal, but eventually it come to that point. I mean, I didn't produce any audio content last year, so I guess producing anything audio-wise will win. I'm winning, right? Am I? I don't know. I want to publish 2 books. So I talked about the 2 books that I wanted to publish. My push goal is 4 books. And one of those books is actually one of what I would consider a failure from last year. Completing that book and publishing it. We'll talk about that later. I have a lot of things I'm going to talk about later. So I have a section on my website called Story Nook. And those are basically my free projects or complimentary projects. They're unedited drafts of stories that I write the whole story and share the whole story completed. But they might or might not ever get published, or they might end up getting published like in a package together. A lot of them are like series and they're connected. So yeah, you should check out my Story Nook if you're okay with like unedited, unproofread stories, then go check that out and you get a taste of some of the content that I produce. But again, they're unedited, and the stories that I produce that I'm selling, they're edited and they're proofread. So don't judge me. I mean, you can judge me if you want. Anyway, so I have a goal of 5 projects, adding 5 projects to my Story Nook this year, and I have those listed out. So Major Daddy Issues, which is book 3 in my military series called The Few, the Proud. The second one is Smoke and Gun, which is book 5 in the Black Widow Presents Faust Files series. So the Black Widow Presents universe is like my criminal underworld universe. And the Faust Files are the first 5 books in that universe. So I'm coming out with the 5th one this year. The other 4 will be on my website. They're coming. I'm getting them there, but they're on Wattpad, and they've been on Wattpad for a while. The 3rd book is Pastels for Easter, which is the 3rd book in my Seasons of Color series. So on Wattpad, there's a story called Black Friday, White Christmas. There are words that aren't weird coming. Black Friday, White Christmas, and White Christmas, Red New Year. Those two stories are free and they're available on Wattpad and will be on my website eventually. And then I'm working on the third book and I want to post that this year. The fourth one, which is kind of a failure from last year, is a story called Too Much Mistletoe. It's a Christmas special that I meant to publish at the end of 2018, but I was publishing SINNFUL. I was launching the book on Christmas Day, launching SINNFUL on Christmas Day, so I'm not sure why I set a goal to do Too Much Mistletoe as well, but we're going to get it. It's going to happen. 2019. And then the fifth story is called Fairest, which is the first book in my fairy tale series that I'm actually really, really excited about. I love fairy tale retellings. I think they're great, especially when they're spun, like you can see elements of the original story, but like you can tell and you can pick out elements, but it's still like its own story. So that's like a whole series that I'm excited to share. And Fairest is going to be the first story. And I wanted to publish that last year too. But again, I was just doing the most last year. See, I just do the most. So anyway, that's my goal, 2019. Those are my 5 Story Nook projects. A couple of other things that I wanted to get out there in 2019 is my little black box, which is for all intents and purposes, and I cringe when I say this, but it's my newsletter. Oh, did you see that? The cringe. I don't like calling things newsletters. It sounds so like old and like outdated. So but for all intents and purposes, my mailing list. I already have quite a bit of people already signed up. So if you want to sign up, you can go to my website. I have some interesting things coming for that because I didn't want it to be, this is a rant. Maybe this is another video, but I didn't want it to be just me sending you a crap ton of emails to buy. Oh my gosh, those kinds of emails drive me up the wall. I want to create something. Little Black Box is like my gift to my readers, a way for me to communicate with you. I want you to be excited when you see that I've emailed you. I want you to want to open up my email and get value out of it. So that's something that I'm working on, and I want to get it right. I don't want it to be blah, that's just all. I didn't have a word. That's blah. That's what I had. Okay. And then I've been working on something. I started writing on it, but it's a series. It's like a true series, like with episodes type of a series, called Cruella, who is the villain in the 101 Dalmatians. And this series is about how she became Cruella, how she became this character, this like heartless, mean, puppy chasing person. Not saying that she's gonna be like chasing puppies around in my story, but it's like the process and her journey on how she became this person. So I'm really excited about that. And I have an outline for it already. And I'm not entirely sure how to like toss it out there for you guys to like taste it and see if you're interested in more of it. Let me know in the comments, like if you're interested in like how you would want me to share that. Should that be something that I share in my newsletter? I need to come up with something else to call it. In my little black box, email, something or another. I don't know. Give me ideas. What should I call my mailing list? Because mailing list is I don't like it. And newsletter just makes me cringe. So anyway, should that be something that I share or present through my email list? Should it be something that I maybe start on the story Nook, in my story Nook? Let me know. Let me know what you think. Okay, so that concludes my writing goals for 2019. If you thought this video was interesting, give it a thumbs up. And I would like to know in the comments below what you're grateful for, specifically talking about 2018, what you're grateful for, what you're humbled by, and what you're proud of from last year. And then one or two goals for 2019. What are you up to? What are you focusing your energy on this year? I really want to know. So thank you so much for watching. Again, thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And the links to my website and stuff and my mailing list and all this stuff is going to be in the description bar, so make sure you check that out. Thanks again. See you later.